Welcome to Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian.
I'm Stacey.
And we are here tonight with another Initial Impressions. This time for
Hanamikoji.
Hanamikoji is kind of a tug of war type game where you are doing some different actions to try to earn the favors of 7 different geishas. So let's get into our initial impressions and see what we think. First, the rule book. Here's the rule book. Not really a book, just a multi-fold pamphlet. It's a pretty simple game to get into. The rule book or the pamphlet, rule sheet, whatever you want to call it, was pretty straightforward. It had some nice. It gave you all the components of the game. It showed you how to set everything up. It gave you a very nice sequence of plays and examples of what was going on in each one of the 4 actions that you can take, which we'll talk about later, and what the end game result was or the end game trigger was. So I thought the rules were very simple, very straightforward for the game.
If you listen to them, they're pretty straightforward.
Yep. So rule book, really good. Moving on to the setup. So in Geisha's Row, you have 7 geishas, and I'm not gonna be able to show all of it, but basically you put these geishas out. I'll show you a couple of them really quick. But you put them out, you have 7 of them, you lay them out next to each other in order, not overlapping, but next to each other in order. So an example would be like the first 2 are that and that, and then you just lay the rest of them out in order. And then you place one of the geisha tokens, and these are 2-sided. It shows in the directions this side, but it does have their pictures on them, so we could play with that side up. It might look a little more
Maybe
aesthetically
blend
pleasing
in a little bit too much.
Yeah, or I'm wondering if maybe they were 2-sided for the Kickstarter. There were some Kickstarter exclusives, and then each person takes their 4 action tokens and places them in front of them. You shuffle the deck of cards. Shuffle the deck of cards, discard 1 or set 1 aside for each round, and deal each person 6, and that is the setup for the round. So pretty easy setup.
Even I could do it.
Moving on to the components. So components are these different tokens for the geishas, different tiles for your actions for each player, and the cards. I mean, good quality cards. You know, I mean, those are some nice cards. You did most of the shuffling.
Yes.
These cards are really nice. The geisha cards are nice thickness as well. And these are a decent thickness, so it's not ton to talk about on the components. They're really well done components. Moving on to Stacey's favorite part, and that is the artwork.
That's because I'm so high in the art world.
Yes.
So, so normally I'm not like a big Chinese, Japanese, Korean, I don't know what they're considered. Asian artwork type of person. But these are really done very nicely. Each one is completely different. They're playing different instruments or doing something different in each one. They're very colorful. Not a whole lot that I.
Oh, that one is not going to show up very well
Oh yeah,
because it's green.
Got a lot of green in it.
It's got a lot of green in it. Here, let's show you that one as Stacey's talking.
Yeah. Oops, there we go. And it doesn't matter what color order you put them in. It just matters that you put them in numerically ordered. But I really liked. I haven't looked at them fully to really appreciate them. I like them. I think they're pretty nice.
And these are the favors that you're trying to give each one of them. They go with the geisha that is associated with the number. So
the color.
The number and the color go with it. So there's the different favors you're trying to give them. Yeah, I really like the artwork in this one too. I mean, even on the tokens, like the fact that they've got like on the little geishas, they've got their faces on them. Now I do have the Kickstarter version, and with the Kickstarter, we did get this promo set of cards, which completely different artwork on them, but it's still some really cool artwork. It doesn't go completely with the cards, but it's just kind of some alternate. The colors still match, and so it's just some alternate artwork. So that was a special promo with it. So there's all those.
And
like
the
that
artwork
Halloween
is by go ahead.
Halloween-ish one with the guitar, and then there's the other ones. Okay.
The artwork is done by Mei Shirley Chan, and this game is designed by Kota Nakayama.
Yeah, so just beautiful artwork. I mean, really beautiful artwork. Really well done. Really kind of makes you feel like you're in Japan in the and you're actually like trying to get the favors of these geishas. The backsides of them are just solid without or just the picture without the numbers on them. So that's really nice. So I enjoyed the artwork too on all parts of it. So
you almost put them in a frame. They're so nice.
You could almost take the promo set and get a 9 or a 7 frame or something and frame them up. They're really nice. All right. On to the gameplay. So in Hanamikoji, I keep on wanting to say Geisha's Road. That's the sequel, which we will do at some point. In Hanamikoji, you are taking 4 actions per round. So you start by drawing out or by dealing out the cards and setting it up, and then you have these 4 actions. This action tells you to discard a card, or that action is a secret. So you put it upside down, and you will score that one at the end of your round. This one you discard 2 cards, and you don't get, and then you don't score those. This one you put 3 cards down, your opponent takes one, and you keep the other 2. And this one you put 4 cards down in 2 sets in kind of an I cut you choose fashion, and your opponent takes whichever set they want. What you are trying to do is you're trying to earn the favor of the most geishas. So let's take an example here. Which one's going to show up really good here? So if this geisha was out there, oh, that one is not going to show up really good. How about this one? There we go. That one shows up pretty well. There's a little stuff there that's kind of, that one better? That one's better. So as you're playing, you have these geishas, and you're placing the cards, the favors on whatever side you're sitting. At the end of your round in the scoring phase, so you have the 4 phases. The first phase is the deal phase, where you deal out the 6 cards to each person. Then you have the action phase, where you take your 4 actions and you go back and forth. Before you take an action, you take 1 card off the top of the deck, so that you have an extra card in your hand, and then you decide what you're going to do. And then once each person has done all 4 of their actions, you have the scoring phase. The way the scoring phase works is whoever has the most favors on their side of the geisha has earned the favor of that geisha. So then you move the token to that side. Let me move this other card out of the way. So you move the token to that side. If someone in the next round has more, they move it to their side. So this could move back and forth if either nobody plays a card there or it's equal. So if we each had 1 there, then it stays on the side of the person who had it previously. You're trying to get up to, so that's the basic gameplay of it, is you are doing these 4 actions. You're taking cards, you're putting them, trying to earn the favors of the geishas. And so it's a nice little back and forth of what cards you want to lay down, which cards you want to take from the other person, what card you've hidden, what card you've discarded. Yeah, so that is the basic gameplay of it. Anything
So
other than the scoring? Because we're going to get
yes,
into that.
so one thing is that the number that's on the card, that's how many
Yes.
cards are actually in that deck.
Yes.
So if you have the 3, there's going to be 3 of that same exact card in the deck. So that could play into the strategy of, you have 2 of the 3s in your hand. There's still another one out there somewhere. Do you want to lay down? Uh-oh.
Oops.
Oh, boy. Our alarm's going off.
Our alarm's going off. There was a noise.
Zika, stop.
Noise.
So that could play into the strategy of how you want to do something. So the 5 could be worth more points in the end. But if you don't end up with,
3 of them.
3 of
or
them
more
at
than the
least,
other person.
then that could really kind of do you a doozy. So that's just one thing that I did want to mention, that could play into your strategy and your gameplay of how it's going.
Yeah, so each one of these geishas, there's 2 corresponding cards. These ones, oopsie, I think I have these things mixed up.
Yeah.
Oops. Yes, because I have 2.
You get 2 purples.
Okay, something happening. Those ones there's 3. This one there's 4. This one's there's 5 of in the thing. And now these are all mixed up. But we'll get them. So when you're deciding like which cards you want to discard, like, okay, well, I've got another one of these. Maybe I could steal this one. Or when you want to discard, because you don't have to take these actions in any certain order. So first time we played, we both just kind of did them in order. Both times it took 2 rounds. And we'll talk about why in the scoring part of it, because that's the 4th phase of this. So the way the order you do these in really comes into play with which cards you have in your hand, which cards you may already have laid down, which ones you have hidden, which ones you've discarded. So there's a lot of thinkiness in this one, even though it's just a pretty quick back and forth. And then we'll move on to scoring, because that is the 4th phase of the game. So at the end of each round, you move into the scoring phase. So after everybody has played all their actions, all the cards have been played except for the one that you set aside, then what you do is you look to see who has the most favors. So if someone has, so let's say on this card, someone has 2 favors and the other person has 1, then the geisha token moves to that side. And that person has won the favor of that geisha. The way the game ends is if someone has earned either 4 favors or the favor of 4 geishas, or these are also point values. So if you earn 11 total, what do they call it? They call it the charm points. So if you earn 11 charm points, that also ends the game immediately. And if so, at the end of the scoring phase, you look if someone has 4 geishas or if someone has 11 charm points, that's the end, and that person wins. If not, then you refresh it. So then there's a phase 4, then you refresh it and you just play it again. So it's quick back and forth. Really easy to see who has the most geishas or who has the most points. But yeah, so the scoring in it's pretty easy. It's do you have 4 geishas or do you have 11 points? And if let's say someone has 11 points and someone has 4 geishas, the charm points actually win the tiebreaker, basically. If 2 people have gotten the same things, if someone has 11 points, they may have less geishas, but if they have high point value geishas, they actually win over the person who has more geishas. So that's the scoring. And moving on to final thoughts.
So I enjoyed this game. The first time that we played it, I didn't understand that, I didn't realize that the number that's on the card is how many cards there were. So
I think we missed that somewhere.
I think we missed that. Yeah, so that kind of messed me up to start with. And then I couldn't remember to draw a card. So before each turn, you draw a card. And I kept forgetting to draw a card before each turn.
The first round of the first game, we forgot about that until we had both taken a couple turns and like, oh, let's just draw them and we'll just keep
Yeah.
playing. So that's why I wanted to play it again afterward. It did just take 2 rounds each time though.
Mm-hmm.
Like each time there was 2 rounds. There was some geishas going back and forth. But you could finish in 1 round.
Oh yeah.
This could be 1 round. This could take 4 or 5 rounds if you're playing strategic enough and you are stealing the right geishas, even though someone might be taking other things. So yeah,
It's quick.
it is.
It's easy setup. Small box, which equals
Weeknight game.
weeknight game.
And we learned it on a weeknight. So
Learned
now
it
that
on
we
a
know how to play, I
weeknight.
mean, this is very, very easy to get out. Very
Yeah.
easy to get out.
For somebody like Ian, I could see how it could be really overthought. For somebody like me that just plays the game and just throws my stuff out there and I magically win sometimes, which I did not today. I think for people like me, I think we're going to have a tougher time playing this game. Because I think you do have to use some strategy and knowing,
Yeah.
how many cards are out there, how many geishas the other opponent, because you're sitting head to head with these cards in the middle and you're trying to get geishas from people, you're trying to earn the geishas. So I think you do have to have some strategy.
Especially after the first round.
Yes.
Or the first couple turns in a round. Once someone has after the first round, you're like, okay, well, you've got these geishas, you've got these. Then it really becomes a lot more strategic because like, okay, which ones do I lay down? Which ones do I want her to take so she doesn't take the ones I want? In our second game in the second round, we had both already earned the favor of a geisha that had 2 charm point value, and we both discarded. We both happened to have like I had the 2 cards that were with mine. She had the 2 cards that were hers. We both discarded those, so we knew that that card wasn't going to the other. That geisha wasn't going to the other person. But when we got done, we also realized like, was that the smartest move? Because then we kept all these high point value ones in. Like it may have been better just to go, oh, I'm gonna play those, but I'm gonna make them take one and me take one. I still keep it. So like discarding 2 wasn't probably the smartest idea because I could have just set it up so that she takes one and I take one. I still keep the favor of that geisha instead of going, oh, I'm gonna discard these. But then we had all these high point value ones that we were trying to fight over and stuff. So I don't think that was the best strategy. Even after I did my move and I went, oh, that was dumb. I should have done this because I had 2 4s and 2 2s in my hand. I could have just split that and been like, okay, look, these are both even. I think I had the 4 even as I had the favor of the 4 at that time anyway. So it would have kept it even on both of those that I had. So that strategy definitely, I was like, oh, that was not smart to do. Um, but yeah, it was. I really enjoyed this one. I've been wanting to get this one. I've heard great things about this one. I've been wanting to get it off the shelf for quite a while. We put it on our wall this month, and I'm like, you want to learn it tonight? I've heard it's really quick to play and learn, and so we learned it tonight after work. And yeah, I could see this one being a weeknight game that we just get out and play real quick.
So 2 positives that I took away from this.
Yep.
One, I learned it on a Monday, which Mondays are not my learning game day.
Yep.
And 2, we finished it up in, I don't know, 15 minutes.
20, I think 20 minutes the first time, but that was with learning it and reading all the directions. And yeah, about 15, 20 minutes. Yeah, 15, 20 minutes.
So the one thing I learned is that I can learn and play a game on a Monday.
If it's a small, quick game without, I mean, there's not a whole lot to this. There's not a whole lot of directions to this. It's pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I like the tug of war aspect of this almost, where you're like, okay, if I place now, like Stacey said, I was definitely thinking stuff out because she would play like the card where it's like, okay, you got to take one, and then she gets the other 2. I'm like, well, if I take that, that's not going to do anything, but this is going to do. So I was actually talking stuff out loud. I think part of that was I wanted Stacey to hear my thought process on things because I know sometimes also she doesn't think, okay, this goes there. So I wanted to, I was talking stuff out kind of, I think, just also so Stacey was hearing my thought process on things. And so yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This is definitely, I'm glad we finally got this at the table. it's going to be a game that I think quickly moves up our playlist, like our number of plays. Like this one could definitely within the next year be like near the top of our plays, because it is such a quick game. We can pull it out at night, get home from work, play it once or twice in like 30-40 minutes, and be like, okay, there's a couple games of it, and it could be like every other week we could pull this one out. It was a lot of fun.
That's a lot.
I'm just saying, it's a game that could be pulled out quite often, and it wouldn't be, not every week.
I can see this being in our New Year's Eve challenge.
Oh,
our 10 o'clock at night when we're like,
yeah, 10 o'clock at night.
Kind of
That's usually that's when we have the goofy stuff. Usually this is one definitely for not thinking. No, New Year's Eve, we do a New Year's Eve game day, and we just play all of our silly, fun, goofy games usually all day. We might play a couple thinkier ones in the morning just to get us going, but then we just start playing all of our silly, goofy ones. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This one's a hit for me right away. I can't wait to play it more and just to like kind of think about it more and see what's going on. And I can't wait to get at some point we will do we'll get Geisha's Road and do a initial impressions of that. So I'm excited to do that as well. I think we'll probably play this a few more times before we get that, but
yeah. I'm excited to maybe win a game. That's my goal.
Hey, there you go. So, have you played Hanamikoji? What do you think of the game? Have you played Geisha's Road? What do you think about that? Do you think we're gonna like that one based on how much we enjoyed this one? Let us know down in the comments.
It's a Hanamikoji.
If you like this video and want to see more, hit that subscribe button up above. And if you want to see the rest of our initial impressions, you can follow that link. Once again, this has been Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian.
I'm Stacey.
And we'll see you next time.
At the table.